Most men think finding your purpose is like some form of revelation. It's something that like we pursue the rest of our life. And when we get there, everything changes. We're like in this bubble of happiness. Now, I don't think personally it's quite like that. What I tend to think is the fact that you're probably somewhere right now in your life where you're doing something at one stage which brought you a lot of enjoyment, something that you pursued because there was a goal at the end of it. And what tends to happen for majority of people is they pursue and pursue and pursue that goal. But in the process of pursuing that goal, they actually lose themselves. They actually lose the version of themselves. They lose their identity because they've gone, you know what, in order to get this over here, I've actually got to remove anything that which is required for me in order to put all my time and energy into this thing. So when we get there, when we achieve this ideal scenario, ideal goal, or this version that you want, maybe it was a pleasure island to you, that what actually happens is you go, well, that didn't actually fulfill me. That didn't actually hit the spot that I thought it would. And what actually happens then is that you start questioning things. You start to ask yourself that, is this what I actually wanted? Now, it is something you wanted because you pursued it, but what actually happens is you forgot about yourself on the journey. You actually forgot about yourself on that. You stopped doing those habits for yourself. You stopped looking after your well-being. You stopped looking after your family life. Maybe even looking after things like fun. Maybe you don't even know what fun is anymore for you. Now, what I'm going to break down on this video is how you can find your purpose, how you can reconnect with it, and more importantly, how you can start to become the leader again in your life whilst pursuing this journey, whilst succeeding in X, Y, and Z. So the biggest thing that it always stems down to is always understanding who was the version of yourself before you pursued this journey, pursued this goal. Who was this version of yourself back in the day when you felt like, you know what, I was very driven then. I had my mojo, I had my energy. What were the things that you were doing back then which created that version of yourself? That would be number one, the question that I'd ask you straight away. And maybe while I'm talking right now, maybe you pause this video and you write that question down and ask yourself, what were you doing in that stage of your life? What were the things which were getting you excited, getting you out of bed in the morning? And ask you, what were you doing for yourself? Now, I want you then to move to the present moment right now. What things did you stop doing back then which were actually making you alive, driven, energized? What are the things that you stopped doing right now in your present moment? And that's really going to identify right now the things that you stopped doing which actually made you show up the way you wanted to show up, feel energized, driven all the time. The next thing then after that is actually going, are you willing to let go of a few things in this present moment right now whilst bringing more joy back into your own life? Are you willing to let go of moments, the things that you're holding on to right now, which you thought was going to create success? Are you willing to let go of that and actually connect you a part of this journey, become back to an alignment with yourself? Because the things that I assume that you want out of this today is actually you want to feel more content. You actually want to feel more ambitious again. You actually want to feel like that person that gets out of the bed in the morning and doesn't just put out fires, doesn't spin multiple plates, doesn't feel chaotic, anxious, on edge, or one more to-do list, or one more habit. I'm going to lose my shit. More importantly, you want to be that person that gets out of bed in the morning and is willing to recognize and acknowledge himself and feel more calm in the chaos. So then when he starts to lead in his life, whether it's in his business or in his family life, he's actually the leader of their world. Because what you tend to notice right now is depending where you are in your journey, who you work with, who you want to become, or the people you surround yourself with, whenever something is not going right in your life, what tends to happen is there's a mirror that happens right back to you. The people around you, you think they're off. You think something's going on over here. You think something's triggering you over here. But actually what's going on is it's the mirror reflecting back into your own little world, own little dynamic of your version of your reality. Now, that's not a scary thing. It's just something that you need to acknowledge, something that you need to work on and actually understand what's going on. But the only way that you can start to break this down is starting to slow down, starting to recognize what you need in order to show up every day. And I'm going to break down a few areas today right now, which is going to understand this for you. But I feel like in order for me to share this for you, I want to take you back to a time in my life where I was extremely lost. Something that I pursued was success, which was happiness, which was I'm going to chase my purpose. all I ever wanted to be was a rugby player, a professional rugby player. And I'm fortunate that I achieved that goal. But it wasn't as straight and narrow as I thought it was. And the version of myself that got there was not happy. From the year of 2013 over to, I think it was 2021, 22, I was in Australia chasing my dream, playing rugby league over there. I was fortunate to play for my country. But what happened to me was I lost myself in the journey. I had some major knee reconstruction surgeries on the same knee, which kind of ruined it for me. The surgeon told me you need to retire. But what actually happened then wasn't actually the surgery ended for me or the rugby ended it for me. It was like, hang on, who am I without rugby? I pursued this journey, this dream so much and created my identity to this sport that when it actually come to knowing that it was over, I actually didn't know who I was because I didn't look after my foundations and myself. I didn't have this strong ground underneath me. I didn't know who I was. So when this ended, which I put all my whole life into, it just exposed all of these areas of my life that was so vulnerable, so lost. And the only way that I could get back to that person was actually reconnecting with myself, was actually sitting and understanding, why is my nervous system so jacked up? Why am I on edge all the time? Why do I feel like I'm moving the needle forward only when I feel this busy feeling, this chaotic feeling, this on edge feeling? That wasn't me moving the needle forward. It was just this chaos that I was so used to in my life. And the only way that I could really get back to that version was actually sitting in it, actually acknowledging myself, actually going, okay, what version of myself do I want to bring back today? Where do I actually show up as this version of myself, and how can I reconnect to that person? And that whole long-winded journey of losing myself was actually the best thing that ever happened because I found myself in the process. Now, I'm going to save you the whole hassle of going through a journey of anxiety, depression, loss of identity, struggling to get up in the morning, having this tightness in my chest, constantly feeling stressed. Now, you may have felt a part of it, but I'm going to save you a lot just in this video today. You can have that success. You can pursue dreams. I'm a big believer that every man needs to have something to drive towards, to work towards, something to put their focus on. Because that is when a man is in his realm of success, his drive, his ambition, his purpose is there. But it's actually understanding that you're allowed to be a part of this success. You're allowed to be a part of this. And the way that you can do that is actually understanding, what are you overthinking all the time? Why is your mind trying to trick you all the time? Why are you constantly feeling stressed and tight in the chest all the time? And why are you always running on empty fumes? Why are you showing up at places that you feel like you should be in your area of flow, of energy, that you're actually in it being chaotic, on edge? And the people around you, they started to pick up on this behavior. And the biggest one that picks up on this is usually your partner, the person that you go home to every day, where your mask comes off and they notice that you're not the version that you are. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to lose that area of your life, but if you continue to show up this way for the next 6 to 12 months, what might happen is that this situation will get worse and worse until you're willing to go, you know what? I need to change. I need to do something different. I need to shift something internally so I can reconnect with that version of myself over there. Now, on paper, you might have all the success that you think, you know what? I got the good income. I've got the house, the car, the holidays, and I do incredibly well in my work. I'm very driven in it, but I'm just not feeling content. Now, this is the area you want to catch yourself. So first and foremost, the one area which is starting to sabotage you the most is you have tied your identity to this thing, whatever it is you're working on, to this thing that is, you know what, whenever that goes well, I go well. But whenever we have an off day here, I have an off day. I'm snappy, I'm erratic, I'm reactive, I'm anxious, I'm on edge. And you literally go up and down like a roller coaster whenever things go bad. But when things go really good, you're on highs, you're in a nice place. How can we get you to a place of neutral throughout all of these ebbs and flows? Now, whatever happens, you're always going to have that little noise in the back of your head, you know, that's going to give you doubt, which is going to be on fear, which is going to be on edge. But if we can learn to master our emotions and actually recognize that voice and quiet to that voice, to a stage where you are in control again. You can learn to master your emotions and shift your energy on a day-to-day basis. That's a key pillar. But the biggest thing is, if you are literally putting your identity on this one thing, just like I did with rugby, what actually happens is that whenever that goes shit, you go shit. So what we want to start to do is actually reconnect with ourselves, develop other areas of our life, start to have routine in your own personal life, start to get structure again. Write down the things which made you feel alive back in the day, and how can we bring those back to the way we are today and implement that in our life. And more importantly is devoting time to your loved ones, reconnecting with people that actually fill your cup up. Start doing things which are actually going to benefit the people around you, because when they show up good and you are present, everything changes. The next part is understanding why you can't sit still, why you're constantly on edge, why you constantly got to feel busy. Soon as you get up in the morning, you feel like you've got to get going, and you feel like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. Man, that's not a business. That's not a purpose. That's a prison sentence. That's not something that you want. And the way that you can change this and shift this is actually sitting in the noise for a bit. Like listening to yourself. Because I bet the last time you actually let your mind wander and be free and actually let that creative aspect of you come again is in the silence. But you haven't allowed it to happen so much because you're so caught up in the busyness. So the first and foremost is actually reconnecting with yourself, having other areas of your life that you can develop instead of putting it all on your business or all on whatever it is you're focusing on. And then the next part is actually sitting in the noise for a bit. Actually reconnecting with yourself. Writing down thoughts which inspire you. Again, I'm going to ask you to go back to that version of yourself that you reconnect with in the past, had that drive, had that energy, had that mojo. What was he doing in his life back then that excited him? And ask yourself, can I bring that back today? That would be part number 2 of this. Now, the next part is actually resetting your nervous system. Resetting and understanding, why are you so stressed? Why is your world so chaotic right now? And the only thing that you really want right now is that, you told yourself that once I get to this area of my life with the success, the business, the goals I've hit, then life will get easier for me. But you're so stressed out, so nervously jacked up that you're on edge all the time. You can't even sit and enjoy the wins anymore. Now, one of the biggest things that I do is understand that shifting that nervous system, removing that emotional baggage that you've held on to for so long, that's one thing that I'm extremely good at and helping my clients overcome. Because when you remove this emotional baggage that you've been holding all the time, you start to feel more lighter, you start to feel more free, you start to have this different energy about yourself. But you've got to be willing to understand that this is all jacked up in stress, but it's subconsciously, you've told yourself that I have to behave this way, or I have to act this way in order to feel success, in order to get to that top of the mountain. Well, that belief system is actually incorrect. You can feel calm, confident, and clear whilst being in a world of success, whilst achieving your goals. And you know what? When that starts to happen to you, success gets easier. Flow starts to get better. Actions get easier. Your team around you deliver better because they see the leader is actually in a better state. Now, again, I know this because I've been there myself in my own journey with sports, transitioning into a career, transitioning into becoming a coach, and understanding that you can create success without losing yourself. Because I did it from my sports days, and I transitioned that into my coaching days this time around right now. But you need to understand that you need to be secure in yourself. You need to be very hardly connected to yourself. You need to have boundaries. You need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to believe in yourself. And that always comes back down to confidence, self-worth, and actually knowing that you are a part of this. And trust me, I've been there, I've done that, and I'm standing here right there talking to you on this camera. And it was ugly, it was messy, it was hard, but man, thank God that I went through that, because I wouldn't be where I am today right now, giving you this story, giving you this journey, and learning and telling you how you can overcome this too by taking these steps that I've just broken down to you. Now, I'm going to ask you these 3 simple questions, which I want you to reflect on. I want you to ask yourself what's stopping you. And the next thing is, who would show up for you? So the first thing I want to ask you is, what is the most critical thing right now you would love to resolve? Whatever it is in your life right now, whatever it is, it might be personally, it might be your relationship, it might be your business, it might be your health, it might be your stress levels, whatever it is. Next thing I want to ask you is, how is this currently impacting you? Pause this video and write that down. And the next part after that is, I'm going to ask you, no one else, I'm going to ask you, What are you knowingly doing which is preventing you from resolving this? Pause this video and write that down as well. Now, I want to ask you, the thing that you're avoiding to do, the action that you're not willing to take right now, and you've wrote it down, what would happen if you did that? What would happen if you took control of your life? What would happen if you decided to get structure in your life? What would happen if you started to take action on that thing that you just wrote down? What could potentially happen to you? What benefits could happen to your future, to your present life right now? What connection could you have with your partner and your kids? What quality time could you have? What holidays could you go on? Where could your income be in your business? And more importantly, who could you become again if you started to take that action? Cool. Now, if this sounds like something you want to explore more, if this is something that you go, you know what? This has hit me right in the core today. This is something that I want to open up even more. Click the link below and you'll get some free training which is going to help you and deep dive and explore more areas of your life. And the next part is if you are serious and you just want to jump straight on board, I take on 5 clients every month on a one-to-one basis, help them get their mojo back, get their drive back, and more importantly, reconnect with themselves so they can enjoy their business, their personal life, and their relationships. If that sounds like you, comment below, click the link, and let's get going.